Hi, Natalie. This is Sandy Ferrell. I just want to thank you so much for participating in Clinics for a Cause and for choosing me to evaluate your videos. This has been such an amazing experience for me, both as a rider, trainer, and maybe one day I'll even be a judge. And it's just such a great cause. And in today's times, in today's world, it's so fun that we're able to do things like this. So in just a second, I'm going to click onto your video. I just want to mention, a few things about your information that you sent. So your pony is 16 years old and it had been out of a program for about 10 years. And I know obviously that poses, from my experience, a little bit of a problem with any animal. 16 years old, they're kind of in their later part of life, obviously. And for the past 10 years, she hasn't really been asked to do anything for whatever reason. And, training and acceptability of training can certainly dissipate over 10 years if no one's been asking them to do that. Horses learn from repetition. It's every day we're trying to get them to do what we want them to do. So as you watch your videos, we'll talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk a little bit about being in the indoor and what a small, narrow indoor arena, the problems that can occur in that situation, and what things we can do as a rider to still train our horse or pony in a situation of a ring that's small like that. And you as a rider, hopefully we're going to kind of dial into some things that you can become more aware of, that no matter how long you ride for the rest of your life are always going to be top priority. So give me just a second. Gotta click back into your video. So obviously this is a small, narrow arena, and you have to take that into consideration, because what I mean by that is that your pony understands or figures out how fast, what direction she's going to turn very quickly within whatever course it is that you're going to do. So we're coming to this jump off our left lead. You're very nicely positioned. She's super cute, lovely jump. So I'm going to stop real quick right there. So if you backtrack a little bit from that jump, you found the jump nicely. She jumped the jump nicely. You're a little fast with your body. But what concerns me more is that you look down to see what lead you're on. So in disciplining ourselves as riders, you have to remember riding is a feeling. So you need to learn to, or try as you go through your riding years, how to feel what lead your pony or horse lands on. Because we never want to take our eyes away from what is happening in front of us at any moment. And the moment we look down, which is evident in this video, is that the moment you put your eyes down, your pony turned too fast. And that's what happens. So anytime our eyes lose focus on something that's ahead of us and is straight in front of us, the pony or the horse turns too fast. And that's a very vital part as you progress in your riding. You will in time understand just how important that is. So just a little bit of a insight there. So I'm going to go back to the video and let's see what happens after this jump. So your pony, again, I'm going to pause. Very nice jump. You found your distance lovely. Your pony's very good at this point in time, for the most part, about maybe landing on whatever lead she needs. I don't know if she does her lead changes or just not at this moment. And that's a great thing for a rider, because it's really one less thing to worry about. And speaking for myself, lead changes scare me to death. So anyway, so if you have a horse or a pony that knows what lead they need to land on, it is such a blessing. So you were a little bit better about looking straight ahead. What I would say about this turn is, now knowing that your pony landed on the right lead, etc., you could have taken a little bit of time and slowed down and organized yourself, and making sure you had your pony underneath of you in the shape that you wanted, because it becomes evident. I'm going to click back on. I rewound a little bit. So you land from the jump, you're looking right, she knows she's going right, and then it's very evident now off the right lead that she has a very hard bulge going to the right. So at no point in time, stop the video, after that line, or based upon that line, would we ever want her head to be to the outside of the rest of her body. So what I'm guessing you're feeling is that she's bulging right, so your instinct is to pull on the outside rein to fix it. Unfortunately, that just accentuates her drift to the right. So if I was teaching you, or I was teaching a student and this was happening, I would explain to them, although it seems odd, that you would want their heads more to the right, not to the left. And so you have to bring her head a little bit to the right so that you can push her shoulder and her rib cage out to the left to compensate for the way that she wants to hold her body naturally. And that seems a little bit crazy and a little bit the opposite of what our brains tell us to do. But as you go on with your years of riding, sometimes we have to like shut our brains off. And it's, again, riding is about a feeling, and it's about a communicating with whatever animal it is you're riding. So I'm going to click back on. I was playing that line again. So again, she's very crooked, and she's crooked in the wrong direction. Well, crooked is no good direction, but she's in the opposite direction. Single is fine. Didn't like the fact that you looked down at the ground after that jump. Okay, so remember, you want to learn as you're advancing your riding. You want to feel what lead they land on. You want to try never to take your eye away from what's in front of you and what's to happen next. Whether it's looking for a diagonal, looking for a lead, looking to see what lead they land on. It's a feeling. That's how you get so in touch with your animal. That was a lovely turn. Loved it. A little bit fast and a little bit of a duck to the right there with your body again. And then you never had the time to make sure you were able to fix the straightness of her body off the right lead. So I'm stopping again. So again, some of the most crucial lessons I can give you as coming from someone who's been riding for 49 years. Straightness. The hardest job we have as a rider, but the most important job we have as a rider. Straightness and body control. And you are young in your riding careers. I don't know how long you've been riding. But as soon as you make the straightness of your horse or pony your top priority, your riding will escalate so quickly. Because if you take the time to figure that out, it's going to slow your body down, slow your brain down, slow your horse's brain down, which is then going to slow them down. And it's such an amazing thing when you feel that connection. So in the hunter and equitation world, which is what you're talking about wanting to do, nothing is done through speed. Nothing. It's all done through power and through a connection. And every time you have a track, remember every track has a starting point and ending point. Never deviate from that track, no matter what that means, no matter how much strength and time it takes. Never deviate from a track. And you want to make a track last as long as it possibly can. And it teaches you, as the rider, so much mental discipline. It teaches your pony or horse to slow down after a jump and get reorganized. And it's just such an imperative part of riding. So I'm going to go back to the video. So again, here we see that bulge. Okay, jump was a little bit slower. This is a different video. Again, you come out of the turn pretty straight, but then you lose her, right? And she kind of, as soon as you're a couple strides away from the jump, she throws her shoulder in and her head goes to the outside. So the only way to control that is to bring her nose to the inside a little bit and push the inside of her body out. Okay? And it's going to change so many things you're riding. It's going to slow everything down. So there's one thing about riding horses. When you instruct them how straight they have to stay, because they have to calculate in their brain so many muscles, that they slow themselves down. And that's when you get your best jump. So I'm going to stop again. And it slows them down. And you always want your pony or horse to have a beautiful slow jump. When they get crooked, when they can shift, that is always going to create a fast jump. So it's just a lesson to learn. You're very young, and I don't know what your choices are, or what your aspirations are in the horse world, but straightness are so imperative, and slowing our body down and looking ahead. And it sounds so elementary, but yet those are the basics of really good riding. You're a strong rider, that's not a problem. You're obviously a brave rider, not a problem. But you need to, at some point in time, just start to say to myself, okay, how do I become a better rider? What are the things that I can focus on the most? And when you focus on some things, you have to forfeit some things. When I tell my students, I don't care what happens on the way to the jump, do not look down at that jump and do not deviate from your track, no matter what happens. And that's hard because we see the jump and we want to see the distance and we want to go get it and we want to feel good about it. In the end, having a beautiful straight jump is the best jump that a rider and a horse as a combination can have. And like I said earlier, it's the hardest thing to produce because you have to do it every day, every step. And every horse or pony has a good way and a bad way. Your pony is much easier off the left lead, much more difficult off the right lead. So that's your job. That should be your goal for however long you ride her, is to say, how can I get her straighter off the right lead? How can I do that? And it's going to be so much about the tracks and your eyes and making sure you go straight as long as you possibly can every time, and organizing yourself and getting her canter better and feeling where she is underneath of you. So I'm so curious to hear if this helped you at all, and I hope I gave you some words of wisdom from an old lady. And please let me know how you're doing, and maybe we'll all meet up one day. And thank you again for doing Clinics for a Cause and for choosing me, and stay safe and stay healthy.